Good evening. This is the July 8th, 2025, 6 p.m. meeting of the Leominster Conservation Commission. The public is encouraged to follow along with the meeting using the posted agenda. I'd like to ask anyone attending to please silence all your devices. My name is Jesse Averka. I am the conservation agent for the city of Leominster. Before we begin, please allow me to confirm which members are present. Robert Sykard.
Here.
Mike Cici.
Here.
Nick Venti.
Right here.
Vice Chair Richard Golick.
Here.
And Chairman Chuck Raymond.
Here.
All right.
All right, good. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah.
So it's 600, sounds good. All right, so I will forego opening up the meeting to public comments since there's nobody here, so we'll skip right past that. Under new hearings, the applicant isn't here, but I'll go ahead and read it into the record. Request for determination of applicability, or RDA, Segundo Morocho?
Yeah, you got
Okay, Segundo Morocho, for the placement of a chicken coop at 76 Weathervane Drive in Leominster, Massachusetts. Now, this has been talking about this one for a few months now, off and on. So, Jesse, I know Jesse and Rich, you out there recently. What do you got for us?
As was Mike.
As was Mike, right, yeah.
We can show you guys, so I guess first I'll just pull up the rather rudimentary plan, but it does, show at least what he was thinking of doing. So as it exists now,
Can you make it a little, is that the, I guess it's the whole thing, okay, never mind.
yeah, well down
Try to
here,
part of it off.
so this is where the coop is now. Oh, I should have brought the laser pointer. I actually have one now. But, so this is where the coop is now, and down here are where the wetlands are, which are pretty close to the property boundary and like extending onto it a little bit here. He's proposing to move it up this way, and now I'm just gonna go straight into the photos that we took today. And
I like how you organized these, by the way. Good job.
yeah, thanks. So, what me and Rich had talked about there were maybe hanging flags on this tree here, and this is just looking directly right at where we are. Like, that's the same pine tree in both of these photos. You can see it here on the right, and here it is. Put another flag on this one, which is, probably like between 60 and 70 feet away from the wetlands.
We measured 80 or 60 to the fence plus another 10 on each side, maybe
Yeah.
80 feet.
Yeah.
If I may add to that briefly.
Please.
My concern about the previous chicken coops that we've discussed has not been so much the lateral distance, which is where our regulatory authority comes in, within 100 foot of a wetland boundary or 200 foot of a river. It was the vertical distance, or lack thereof, whereby the chicken coops could get flooded, and that then everything just carried away. That's what we saw up in Wachusett Street, and that's what we saw in, was it North Street?
North Street, yeah.
North Street, was if that little creek going through the yard, came up 1 foot, bam, you're gonna soak everything. By moving this, it may not get 100 feet away, putting it out of our jurisdiction, but it raises it ballpark 5 feet maybe?
The elevation goes up.
Might be closer to 10, but that's hard to estimate.
Right.
But it does raise it enough such that it would take a more significant flood to inundate it. So I'm not trying to get rid of all the chicken coops in town. They're allowed up to 10 chickens. I didn't see that many today.
Okay.
I did previously. But I would support what Jesse is saying, is to allow the movement of it, or require the movement of it, and allow it to this location that he would then go mark.
Can we do that with an RDA?
Oh, no, it's in our jurisdiction.
Okay.
Oh, is in our jurisdiction.
Okay.
The current one, I would say, has a potential impact.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
Right.
so I would not
Okay.
agree to that.
Yeah.
This would need to become a notice of intent, which would require a new application, I believe.
Mhm.
With
Yes, it
the
would.
same map's okay by me, it's
Yeah.
a little sketchy,
Okay.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to hire anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
They've done some good work on that house. If you saw the front porch, Mike, the metal roof, I don't know if the owner's doing it or somebody else, but some good work done there.
Yeah.
So they do have some big tree trunks that might need to be moved, that are just in their way of where this would go. There's a little play box, I'll call it, that might need to move. But I thought it was okay in that location.
Yeah.
What does he propose for the old chicken coop, to tear it down and take it away? Because there was some pressure treated in there and that stuff, so.
Yeah, I mean, he does not have any specifics in there. I guess in my opinion, if he wants to leave it there, my only real concern was just waste from the animals that are living there. Like if there's just a wooden building that is near a wetland, I don't really see that causing any, I don't see that having any negative impact. So it's really up to him. In my eyes, if you guys want to fit in any like condition down the line of removal of that coop.
I won't remember, it's the chickens that are the problem.
Yeah, it's the
Right.
chicken, like the fencing area where the animals will be living needs to be moved.
And that's what needs to be marked in the notice of intent.
Yeah.
Mm.
All right,
Makes
and
sense, right?
Nick,
Is there a prohibition within 50 feet of a wetland for a chicken coop by either the Board of Health or by,
no, there were, if you recall from the ones we've done before, there's very little guidance in terms of how close to wetlands can chicken coops safely be. We try to find some stuff that there wasn't, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there wasn't a heck of a lot of,
Okay.
certainly regulatory or policy guidance.
I thought I remember the 50-foot prohibition, but if that's not the case.
Yeah, no.
Not that we're aware of, took us a while to
Okay.
find out there's a limit of 10 chickens, because the coops we looked at.
Sure,
were
that's
more.
that's a Board of Health regulation.
Right.
Zoning, yeah.
The zoning,
Zoning, right.
yes. And then my other question is, has this wetland been delineated recently? Or
No.
At all?
I'm sure it probably was at some point, just because this one is in the data layers for like free GIS online.
Okay.
But there's certainly no
Nothing-
flags or
nothing
anything
recent.
like that out there. Yeah.
There's
Probably
some
not for a very long time.
serious deciduous trees in it,
Mhm.
but it's clearly wet. And you
Clearly,
can see a
yeah.
little flow through it when the
Yeah.
leaves weren't there.
Yeah, Bob,
Yeah.
Bob, you and I were thinking, what, like March or April, something like that. and
End of
it-
March, yeah.
Yeah, it was, even then, you could tell the wet area.
I would suggest we don't need a delineation, it's kind of clear where it is.
So you're describing a narrow bordering vegetated wetland
I can pull
That's
it
the, if you go.
next to a
Yeah.
stream?
Let me.
I don't think there's a stream in there.
I think there is an intermittent stream that's not
Yeah, okay. I
super
thought there
close to. I'll just pull it up on this and pull up
That
the
was going to
layers.
be one of my questions. How close was the street?
I walked through there, I never saw
Oh.
it, and it's been pretty wet.
Oh, I
I
shouldn't
didn't,
have thought.
I saw it's
I didn't-
marshy, but
I
I
don't
didn't see,
think
I didn't
we've
see
seen one, did
any
we?
evidence of a stream, but.
I thought I saw evidence of one.
No, there
Little
is.
ways
You,
past
I mean,
the
you can
property
hear, you can
boundary.
see it.
Yeah.
I'll get rid
Yeah,
of
it's-
that.
but
Perhaps
but that goes down towards
Here's
the lake.
that. And actually, that shows it fine.
70,
Yeah, so it's
76.
76, and if I get rid of
76
this, you can
Okay.
see, oh, like way over here, there's a stream that ends up feeding
Yeah.
a larger water body down here.
Oh,
and
okay.
maybe from-
Oh, I see.
Nowhere near, just,
No,
that's
but-
what's supplying the system with
All
water.
right.
Is there an ephemeral stream on the west side there, coming in from the west?
Not that, I mean, it's
Look at
very,
the wetland is-
very developed over there.
Okay.
Not that, I wouldn't think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this is.
Clearly,
probably-
it's the low point of the area.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Sure.
And got lower when Jamestown went in.
So this would remain within the 100 feet of the wetland. It's not in the wetland, it's
Yeah.
not in it now,
Mhm.
but it remains within 100 feet when he moves it.
You said what, 70, 80?
Yeah, something like
Yeah.
that, as opposed to 50, 60, or whatever
Mhm.
that is now. But you get elevation, and that's the key.
Yeah.
To me, is the elevation for flooding purposes. Some, you still get rainfall on it that, clearly can carry some stuff.
Yeah,
But I'm not trying to be too crazy about it.
Right, yeah,
Sure.
we try not to get rid of people's chicken coops, we're just gonna make them compliant as best we can.
Yeah, I just don't want them to flood out and totally wash everything away at once.
Right,
Yeah.
all right.
what's that, Bob?
Oh, I just had another thought too, just to get back to me and Chuck's day, it was wet, I mean, we could see it wet.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, and it's probably gonna flood, and depending on how much rain we do get, but if there's no brook or stream nearby, whatever will settle in, will percolate out.
Mhm.
The other idea, the only thing is if you want elevation, you could put a stipulation on, we want it this high.
Well, no, the elevation, the ground elevation would.
It's the ground elevation where the chickens
I
are.
understand
Okay.
that, but still, you can stipulate, like, if you get a big flood, that it's not gonna, or fix it so it's not going to wash away.
I believe that if we have a flood that reaches the proposed location, we got much bigger problems.
It's gonna hit
Okay.
the house. I mean, where they put it, it's gonna be right about the same
Yeah,
elevation
I mean,
as the house.
Almost at the house, you're correct, Mike.
Yeah.
That's heavily populated. I mean, everything flows probably in that, down to that area.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there is, when it's big rain, there would be some flow, yes, through that wetland.
So, to avoid the exact same thing that you're saying could happen, is there anything we can put as verbiage to say, put an extra footing or raise it just a little more so the water will go in, I'm not looking to get rid of every chicken coop
Yeah,
either,
no.
but.
I mean, you could throw some wattles behind it on the downhill side, and that would take care of everything, wouldn't be bad looking.
It would take care of surface overflow, it wouldn't take care of any that's.
Nothing, no,
flowing
no,
underground.
Right.
I don't think that's necessary, given that this gives
Okay.
us the raise in elevation
Okay.
that I would be looking for.
Interesting.
And the other wasn't,
Yeah.
the original isn't as risky as the other two we've acted on.
Oh, no,
Oh,
not at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They were in streams.
they were, yeah,
Yeah,
they were right next
Yeah, that's what
door.
you're saying, yeah. What were you gonna ask?
What is the orange line there that's going through there?
That's a
I believe that's, yeah, that's just topo.
Oh, it's a total?
Elevation.
Oh, contour line?
So,
Okay.
yeah, see 443
Oh, yeah, I see
feet
that.
right there? Yeah.
All right. All right, any other questions, discussion? All right. So with that in mind, Jesse, with, Babe, what do we do with this RDA that sounds like we're not in favor?
I'm sorry, I did have one more
No,
question.
go ahead.
Yeah.
Where he's looking to put the new coop,
Mhm.
are there any trees that would have to come down for that?
They're
to-
not, no.
Okay.
At least as far as, like, I can show, if I can get back.
I didn't
to-
walk around that right side
He's
of the
gotta
house.
move the
Where
the
is?
The
logs like this that are there to put it there. And if you go, and that
Yeah,
piece
so we
needs to
think-
move, that little playhouse.
Yeah, he would probably want to move this playhouse a bit and
Yeah.
then put it in on the right of that. And
And you see the logs behind it,
Yeah,
those probably need
yeah,
to
pull
go.
those out, yeah.
All right.
I think that's where the house, the chicken coop would be, and then as far as the fenced-in area, he can make it a little bit wider around that area, I guess, is what I.
And you keep it above the line
Yeah,
that you
as
described.
long as it's above that line.
Above the
We'll
line,
kind of
we're
let
good.
him do, let him do what he would like
So
to.
I do have a procedural question.
Please.
What, how should we advise him? Because depending on what the size of the coop is, there are certain sideline restrictions from a building perspective.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't want him to go in and put it up and then have the building inspector come and say, well, conservation told me to put it.
I think what we can do is, depending on how we vote and what happens here, he can pass our concerns on to him.
Yeah.
Onto Mr. Morocho, in terms of the logs, that thing,
Mhm.
property, setbacks aren't a thing anyway, but he can pass that on.
Yep.
And tell him, depending on what you do, keep that in mind.
Yeah,
And, but go to zoning or building.
Building inspector.
Building inspector.
Yeah, go to building
Right.
inspector.
Make
sure he's
You
meeting
should
all those
touch
requirements.
base with him to let him know about this,
Yeah.
given the communication difficulties
Mhm.
you've had so far with this particular resident.
Yeah.
That would be, my recommendation, I guess, would be finding this positive, and then I'll work with him and be as helpful as I can in getting a notice of intent that
Okay, all
covers
right.
the work that we're describing.
I don't know if we've done many positive RDAs.
I think just a positive.
Just
one.
positive, that's it?
A positive one.
Positive one.
The area described on the reference plan is an area subject to jurisdiction under the act. Removing, filling, dredging, or altering the area requires the filing of a notice of intent.
Okay.
May I suggest that we also, even though there's no one here, that we close the public portion?
Oh, I was going to. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's what I was going to next, but I appreciate it. You keep me in line. All right, so with that in mind, then, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing portion of the public meeting portion of the hearing.
So made.
Thank you, Nick. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Thank you, Bob. Haven't called you Jim for a while.
Man.
On that vote, Bob, how do you vote?
Aye.
Nick,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Rich,
Aye.
and Chuck.
Aye.
Okay.
Cool. All right, well, with that in mind, then, I'll entertain a motion to approve a positive one determination for the applicant at 76 Weather Rain Drive.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Rich.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mike.
And on that vote, how do you vote, Nick?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And Chuck?
Aye.
All right.
All right, and so be sure, when you notify Mr., notify Mr. Marocho, tell him about our concerns, again, about the logs,
Mhm.
that play thing.
Yes.
Tell him to get in touch with building inspector about
Yeah, I'll talk.
property line
I'll
setbacks.
talk with Luke about any
Yeah.
codes and can talk to Jose from Board of Health. too
And
about
the
it.
NOI should detail the outer edges of the fence that he'll use to
Mhm.
keep the chickens in that area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's more that I'm interested in than the physical building. That falls more to building
Yeah.
inspector.
Yeah. I mean, even once I talk with him, and DEP is gonna want to see, they're gonna have questions without there being a certified plan.
Yeah,
So realistically, probably what I'll do is I'll meet with him and kind of either flag or like stake out the area that he plans on creating the
good
fence
idea,
as.
good idea.
You could help him with this.
I can.
Yeah.
You could help him with the
And
other.
I'm
part of
happy
our
to,
job.
I'd rather that than, the
Part of
guy
our
have to go
job's
and
to make it
blow a
easier.
ton of money. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
All right,
So do make it clear to him that this is, his concept will end up accepted,
Yeah,
probably.
just
but-
gotta get it
But he's
nailed
gotta go
down.
to the next step.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a million little flags.
Because
Flags
positive
that
kind
states
of
that-
gives a different connotation of
Correct,
we
yeah, right.
rejected this request.
And those highlights are in English, right?
People hear that they got a negative
Yeah.
decision and
Yeah,
they're
it
like
is.
nervous. Yeah, that works.
oh, your teletype machine.
Okay?
All right, good. All right, thanks, everybody. All right, moving on, nothing under continued hearings. Under the regular meeting, nothing under enforcement. Meeting minutes for our last meeting on June 24th.
Yeah. Do you want me to pull
I
those up?
I ran out of time, I didn't get a
I
chance to
read
look
them and
at it.
had no edits,
No, okay.
which is great.
Oh.
So
Anybody have any?
I just had
Oh, the time, right?
two comments, yeah, to indicate
Yep,
the
time.
6 o'clock start time,
Yep.
and that Stephanie entered at 2 minutes past 6, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ins- Instead of just saying she was late? Yeah.
Yeah,
that makes
Good,
sense.
yeah.
because she,
No, for
Oh,
sure.
I missed the
Yeah.
word.
the votes imply that she was present for all
Right.
the votes.
Yeah, yep.
I got a comment on July 8th. This is the first time that Richie has not made a comment about any meeting.
Jesse, good shot, man.
Well, next
It
time-
took a few months, but we're getting there.
First
Well,
try.
train
No,
him well.
I wasn't just you,
All right.
Jesse. That was not pointed at you.
Yeah, so I'll add in Steph's arrival and the start of the meeting time.
Yep.
Okay.
I would've, my computer's in the shop, so I couldn't, I
With the
couldn't,
computer mechanic?
yeah, it's with a computer
Well, change.
mechanic, so I had to submit my comments separately.
This is easy.
That works.
All right.
Uh,
So with that, then, I'll
Easy
entertain a
enough
motion
for
to
me to
approve the
do
meeting minutes as amended by Commissioner Venti
that's-
for our June 24th, 2025 meeting.
I'd like to make that
Thank
recommendation.
you, Bob. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, Nick, too.
On that vote, how do you vote, Bob?
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Nick,
Hi.
Rich,
Aye.
and Chuck.
Aye.
Okay.
All right, moving on, under Commissioner comments, these two here, one of them 16 Wildflower Road, and the other one Poison Ivy, these are just on here as ongoing things.
So I
Anything
can,
new?
I'll show you guys some photos that I took over on Wildflower.
Okay. Oh, you got two number ones there, so.
You're right. Aye. Actually, I'll pull up the photos and then I'll go over to
Alrighty.
plan. So I didn't see anything, I don't have anything that is particularly alarming going on here. The only thing is I couldn't spot the dry well that is on the plan. I don't know if it's at the end of this pipe here and it is under, this debris.
Didn't the plan show it coming off the roof gutters?
I believe it.
And there's a roof gutter.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if this I don't know if this might be the dry well here. Let me pull up the plan.
Those gutters should go into the drywall. They
Right,
would
right.
not be
That's what
on the lawn.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
No,
don't
they would
serve
go
any
into the
purpose.
ground, which would,
Yeah.
spark an inspector happen on one of my houses once where they come and say, hey, you might be hooked to the sewer system, so we gotta check this.
I didn't, is
Is
there a
this
drywall on this
on-
plan at all?
There is a, I don't know if it's on, it might be a different,
Oh, yeah, the plan that
figured
you
that
had
this
last
would
week
have-
showed it.
yeah.
And the,
Yeah, that's not the one.
I remember seeing a rain garden
Revised,
The
so
rain
this is
garden,
probably.
I remember the rain garden.
and a gravel berm or something.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
proposed
proposed
drywall,
Out there.
Okay.
yeah.
So there's supposed to be a
yeah,
drywall, a rain
connect
garden?
downspouts with 6-inch PVC leaded to proposed drywall.
Yeah, which I don't think is what ended up becoming,
Can you please follow up on behalf of this commission to
yeah,
ask them to get their engineers to show where it is and prove that they followed the plan that was approved by DEP?
I can do that, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like they had still had a silt barrier up there.
Yeah, they
Supposed
just
to be
still have
removed.
that up. Yeah, I mean, when construction is finished and everything, I mean, the lawn is grown in, that is typically removed.
Did you find the rain garden that was supposed to be there?
Yeah, I don't know what they don't, I didn't find any specifics on what the rain garden was supposed to,
In the plans? You didn't see it in the plans?
I did not know. It says rain garden on the plans, and there were no details of,
They had a demarcated area, right?
they had an area marked off for it,
But
yeah.
they
I mean, it
didn't
was
say-
just, off the deck, it's really just mountain laurel growing like in a,
So, well, it should be recessed.
Have the owners, are there people in there? There's an occupancy?
I don't know if they're, it appeared to me that they're in the process of moving in there, like they had a ring camera up, and they had a grill on the back shed, but like all the windows are shut, it doesn't look actually lived in at all.
Hmm.
Okay?
So it might still be under construction.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
All right.
thought.
Yeah, so please follow up on that rain garden also.
Okay.
Those were some of, I believe, concessions made
Yeah.
for approval.
Yeah.
So if they didn't do
Mhm.
it,
Correct.
we would be pretty bothered,
Yeah.
And
especially after getting appealed and overturned.
wasn't the main one also to have the water not run up the driveway drain towards the house and not out into the street?
No, the driveway was going into the street, but it was gonna come down to a manhole.
Is that what it was? Is that what it was?
Yes.
Okay.
Because remember, there's that culvert underneath the road there, so it was directed
Okay.
to a storm drain into
All
the
right, all
culvert.
right, that's what it
But
was.
there wasn't much of the drainage coming to the front. It was mostly going toward the
Okay.
back.
All right,
Just coming down the driveway because the driveway
Correct,
was
that was, I
elevated.
believe, and a little bit of lawn.
all right.
Good stuff.
All right, yeah, so yeah, if you follow up on those, that'd be good. And poison ivy maintenance, that had to do with that's an ongoing thing with the trails and,
Well, in general, I brought this to the commission's attention and the trail stewards because some of the entrances, the key entrances, like where the kiosks are, were enclosed by poison ivy. You couldn't even get onto the trail without brushing it. At Wachusett Street, that kiosk was particularly loaded. But I believe DPW has been out there, cut the ones that were going up the tree, which were sticking out 5 feet. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, these were huge, poison ivy plants. You couldn't lop them, you'd have to probably saw them.
them,
And other stuff's been cut down. Neil Wine, I went out with Neil Wine, who leads the trail stewards, and he put on his face mask and chaps and cut down all the poison ivy while I watched safely from a distance. I get it pretty easy. So that helped. Hill Street, some of those mounds had it, some of the entrance had it. Plus, out at Sholin Farms, and Neil Wine did meet, he told me, with Joanne DiNardo, I guess it is, who leads at Sholin Farms. And they said they would sometime soon, don't know if it's been done yet, this is a couple weeks ago, would mow those trails. The trails had not been mowed, that I could tell this year, they were just marked down. These are the trails in the field that are part of the city's trail map, but they were covered in poison ivy. Oh, it was just everywhere there, so now what do you do about that? The Hill Street Meadow has poison ivy
Yes,
in
it does.
quite a bit. So, what's the deal with that? And you were gonna develop a plan, we look forward to seeing that.
Yep, next meeting I'll have it.
That would be great. So, when it gets mowed and this and that and the other. The question to find out from DP, what do they do about this poison ivy? You can't go, I've looked up the regs, you can spray on your property, you walk off your property, you can't spray
Yeah.
without a permit. It's,
Oh, correct.
regulated environment we've got.
Yeah.
Even a little bit is, you're not supposed to do that. But these are public health issues, so by golly, I'm gonna get,
Yes,
make
yeah.
sure they get done. So one thing I was hoping was that for these major entrances, the DPW would take them over. So I'm not sure that's being worked on, I believe.
That's the goal.
That's a goal.
Yes.
Which would include that poison ivy control. What would be done at Shoalin Farms is another question, if anything. But at least if the trails are cut, that at least makes it so kids don't, you don't hit it as you walk through.
But do we manage, now Shoalin Farms is managed by Shoalin Farms.
Correct.
Yes, I believe so.
So it's
But
The
not,
the
Friends,
trail-
it's
Sort of
the,
its own.
it's the
entity.
Friends of Strollin Farms, and Joanne is the.
Yeah.
she's the president.
Like volunteer group.
Yeah.
Bob, you had something?
Yeah, just a quick question. You said a comment about spraying on private property. If it's in the wetlands, can you spray on private property?
I believe it would probably depend on the chemical.
I didn't-
I don't think Roundup, just Roundup specifically, is prohibited in or near wetlands. I don't think. I'm not
I
sure.
don't think that it is either.
Yeah.
And Roundup isn't typically good for poison ivy.
Yeah.
Well, they have a version.
Oh, works for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's good to see with those stuff.
What
It works
is-
very well on the farm too.
This is for the benefit of the public. But I didn't, because I have it on my property, but I've never sprayed it. I said, oh, I can't do that.
I-
Well,
I don't-
technically you couldn't do it because of the Wetland Protection Act. I mean, you can't do anything within a wetland without this
Yeah.
commission's approval.
Can't lift a stick out of there.
But it's not banned directly, I believe, from what I saw in the regulations in terms of the pesticide application
Yeah.
per se. That was more of, you gotta be certified to do this. And then, of course, you're gonna, you gotta follow the manufacturer's instructions when you're certified, et cetera, et
Right.
cetera.
With proper safety equipment.
Use
all that stuff.
approved things and, go through the whole.
If you're doing it on somebody else's property.
Yeah.
Correct.
If you're on your own
Well, when
property.
I'm at home, I just go out and spray.
Right.
Pesticide applicator license.
Exactly,
Yeah.
that's it.
Which they have, I know that there are employees at DPW who carry that.
They
Okay.
must, somebody must. So
All
who
right.
is it and can we get them out there and,
All right, so this is obviously an ongoing discussion.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay,
Along with, can they maintain some of these areas?
yeah, right.
And then we were gonna talk about the Boutel place. So there's 3 mounds there covered in vegetation at GA High. One of them got cleared by the trail stewards. I was hoping they'd do all 3, but the other 2,
Cleared physically?
yes,
Yeah.
well, yeah, cut down.
Cut down.
Yeah.
They lopped it, but the others still had, some living poison ivy. in it.
Yeah.
So maybe they skipped those for that reason, I don't know.
Yeah.
But you mentioned having a tool, plow or something.
I got a tractor, yeah. I filled in
Does
the gully up there when we.
Does it have a front plow?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can knock them over, it's not just a bucket thing.
No.
Okay, we'd still want to get them cut down, so if you can add that to your DPW request list,
Yeah. That's
maybe
it,
they can go,
Boutel?
because we don't want to take all those plants and turn them over.
No.
No, we want to cut them down and rake them out,
Yeah.
and then we could go out and do it. The trail stewards, Neil told me, be very willing to work with you and give a crew to help support the work of you knocking those down.
Okay.
And they thanked you helping move those stones. Then there's these big stones there that one of them's carved, and so we want to, keep that in a good place. That
Right.
would need to be moved, but the others would need to be moved because they're sitting on those mounds as decoration that then got buried. But we could do, some kind of sculpture or a mini, blanking on the term over in England,
Stonehenge.
Stonehenge, I couldn't come up with a mini Stonehenge.
Yes, we'll do a mini Stonehenge, yes.
They've got a couple that are benches that are kind of screwed in
Yeah.
together, so maybe they stay, but, so we'll need to move some of that. And if
I'll
we
get a
need
grapple on
DPW, let
it.
us
I can take the bucket, it's all quick attack. I can take the bucket up, put a grapple on it, grab the rocks.
and go. So you're the man.
And I can drive right down, I can come right in through the woods.
Yeah,
Great,
That'd be very helpful.
that'd be cool.
thank you, Rich,
We
and
can
thank you,
work
Mike,
with that.
appreciate that very much.
Did you talk about the well at all?
Yeah, I
I
remember.
think I
going over
mentioned
that
it
the
to him, but
last
we didn't
meeting.
talk about it.
Okay, I mean, because some of that soil could get put into the well.
We can take the stones and cover it, and not even move the soil there. That might be good, so, but maybe they need to weed whack a
Oh,
path
it's,
to it.
the surface, the top of the well is at grade?
Yeah.
It's on,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's It could be dangerous.
Why?
It's a
Kid roams around.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's a pit.
It's a pit, yeah.
Yeah. We're sitting wide
Interesting,
open.
okay. Yeah, ooh, that sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
Neil's out of town right now, but we could certainly organize something in a couple weeks. Whenever you get interested, or wait for cooler weather,
Yeah, no, that's
something
fine.
like that. But we do want to get somebody to go and knock all those horrible looking weeds down.
Mhm.
That'd be good.
Awesome.
Do we want to talk about Pier Street sign, or what's happening there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, Rich sent me, it was nice, and then nice enough to send me a copy of the replacement Pier Street sign. Still doesn't say Conservation Commission on it.
Did you get your picture?
We're putting
Get
it
your picture on
on
there?
No, unfortunately. So, but it's, and they're probably gonna put it in the same place the old one was. But, there's a nice.
Going.
It's,
That was the plan.
yeah,
Okay, so my understanding, so the reason this came up today is I was at the print shop where I'm getting the trail signs made. And I asked about Pierce Street, and he had brought it up, and they have the sign right there. So I took a photo of it. And he's been dealing not with the city, but with a construction company
Oh,
that was connected to the work because of the insurance and all that. So the message did not get across to add the Conservation
No.
Commission. The message did not get across to don't put it in the same spot it got run over. So they went out to install it. It was covered in brush, so they didn't do it because they're installing it. This is add a sign from Pond Street. And so they had the city go out, and the city cleared that area where we don't want it to go.
right.
So they had recommendations. He sent me photos of the exact spot you and I looked at. You
There's
look
smart
at the
people over
entrance,
there.
there's a spot
Smart
right on the
cookies.
left, you gotta cut all the stuff down.
Yeah.
But that's the type of entrance I'd love clean, because there's these big boulders that are kind of decorative, but they're covered in vegetation. And so I'd like to see us getting those weed whacked down, periodically, especially after mid-June, late June, the major growth has occurred.
Right.
right.
So I asked him to, without any authority, don't put it in yet. Wait until the commission and our agent get in contact with the folks who said put it there, to say don't put it there, now let's go clear this other area and get it put right at the entrance. Because it's really between that, the resident there that we visited years ago
Yeah.
and the entrance.
Oh, okay.
In fact, he said he was given an address and it led him to a house as to where to put it. So I think we need a better address for that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my take. It should go right next, and it's one-sided, so it's gotta be parallel to the road.
Right.
But it should go right next to the entrance.
So, yeah, as long as it's backing up, so it doesn't get plowed.
Yeah, and the other's on the
A
curve.
snowstorm.
Yes, yeah, as long
I don't
as it's
know, yeah,
back
I
a
don't-
ways.
the other one was really, because there's like the road comes around the bend, but then there's also like an additional pavement apron, and it was outside that, so the old sign wasn't like along, it shouldn't have gotten hit. I don't know how the hell it got hit, or what hit it.
So he didn't turn.
But I don't know why they,
Zag.
but the way the one was crumpled, looks like they came in this way and they should have taken the whole thing out.
Yeah.
I have no idea what the hell happened. It's bizarre. But yeah, anyway, whatever you can do to facilitate that, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
Is there any other body in town that has authority over that? Or is it exclusively the purview of the Conservation Commission to?
Well, the land itself is our purview, but the property where the sign goes and the sign itself, and that's DPW, and it sounds like there's a construction company involved, and
Yeah, we put,
city council's
I'm
name is
not
on it,
sure
so
what
it's the
their
city
deal
council
was,
involved.
Yeah.
this company was making the sign and then gonna install it.
Yeah,
That was my understanding from this morning. So I'm not sure what the construction company's role was.
yeah.
Which sign company are you using?
Add a sign on Pond Street.
On Pond Street?
Because they've done a lot of the city signs,
Yeah.
and they did all the trail signs.
Nice.
Objectively, it's a nice looking sign. They did a nice job.
It is a nice looking sign.
Put the Conservation Commission on it
Can we
anyway.
talk more about more signs?
Sure,
When we're talking
absolutely.
signs? So as you know, I've been working on trying to complete the trail signage work that the trail stewards have been working on for several years. It didn't all get finished. There's some posts that were installed that don't have the numbers on them or the maps. So they've done a bunch of work tracking all this. I finished up that work. I've gone out to visit a lot. I've checked mileages, bought stickers, with arrows and mileage numbers to replace some without spending money on the signs, because I'm pretty frugal. But we bought signs with our budget from last year. I assume that invoice got submitted on time.
It did.
Excellent.
Thankfully.
And those signs are in process. I just approved the last proof. The maps are not made yet because we still got to make the maps, including the Pierce Street area.
And don't you cover those with plexi, too?
No, they're actually just metal signs that have a coating on them.
Okay.
That'll
It's
work.
what they've standard used.
Yep.
And one of the signs we're getting are the dog loss signs. I found one at Boutel. I hadn't seen these before. So we copied the wording verbatim. So I wouldn't get any trouble making dogs loss signs. You know, pick up the poop, leash your dog.
Right.
So I'm gonna put those at different entrances to some of these places. And Jesse has volunteered to go out and walk the new trails, including at Pierce Street with me. And then there's one from Mount Elam Road going up the hill there. So to get those added onto the mapping system and make a map of that area. And there's some other maps that need a little touching up, including Barrett Prospect's been revised. So we just got today, I guess, a letter from the mayor
We did.
to the Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, which is who I had talked to, because they do a lot of this work. So I had asked Jesse to go to the mayor, get approval for us to go and make these maps, using the free 12 hours that the city gets each year. So that has now been approved to do
Cool.
in collaboration with Recreation Department, basically.
Nice.
Nice.
And the letter focused a lot on Prospect. I was most, that needs some tweaking, like it's got handicap trail now, so that's got to be marked. I actually already started some of the mapping on that, because there's new benches and so on. I was adding numbers out there, because there's a lead hike this weekend.
Who put the benches in?
It was I believe that some were already there,
Okay.
because they were on a map, but there's additional ones
It was
there.
part of the NOI, wasn't it?
So that's part of the new work that was done there,
Yeah.
the redevelopment of that.
Yeah.
The boardwalk that we approved and got revisions and approved
Yeah.
did not get put in.
Oh,
It's not there.
oh.
Wow.
I was told by somebody who was not exactly in the know, but by somebody that they ran out of money and didn't do it.
Oh, crap.
But that is not there. As I looked at it again, I would have probably said no, if I would have reconsidered my vote.
Really?
Because you're already right next to it all. Why do we got to go right in the middle of it? I didn't, in hindsight, I question my original judgment.
If I think about it, I'm gonna take the dog up there this weekend. Check it out.
Are dogs allowed there?
Oh,
Because I don't believe they are.
oh.
I think dogs are not allowed in all the parks except for Doyle, is it?
Yeah, but Doyle's not ours. Doyle's trustees.
Correct. But,
I almost think that
Just-
Prospect does allow dogs.
do they?
I think
That's something I'm gonna check out when I
Yeah.
do the maps and the dog law signs.
Yeah,
But you said you're gonna have, put dog signs up about poop and leashes.
Well, I'm gonna put them up where they're supposed to go. So that's something
Oh.
I gotta work with rec
I didn't know
department.
dogs were prohibited from some of the,
Well, my first time with this, I went out, I'll tell you this part after the meeting, but, so I'll put it on TV. But yeah,
Thank you for your
I
discretion.
know, for example, Barrett does not allow dogs.
Oh.
Yeah, a bunch of
Park
them
doesn't?
do not.
Bear Park does not. As you go in the main entrances, you go in from Elm Street, and it gives you, hey, leash your dog. So that's something I want to work on with rec department to make sure
So,
that, are all the
if we can
entrances supposed to be no
trust their
dog or what?
Facebook page, Leominster Recreation, dogs are allowed at Prospect Park as long as they're leashed.
Excellent,
Oh, all
And
right.
there's even a dog waste receptacle at the beginning of one of the trails.
beautiful, good to hear.
Jesse, do you have conservation restrictions for individual parcels, individual city-owned lots?
Not that, I mean, on certain lots there maybe. I
Written-
know that
written
there
on
are,
the screen?
I know that there are some written into ones. Do you have like a specific one you're looking to inquire about, or?
No, I was just wondering how well that's organized.
Yeah.
Do you have, I mean, it'd be nice to have like clear conservation restrictions corresponding to each
Mhm.
parcel.
I mean, I think that that
Mm,
stuff is
right.
contained within the city ordinances. I think is where you'd find it. You'd find like a
But it's not-
reliable database of, yeah. I don't know if that's included with the watershed stuff or if it's in its own section, but another thing to look into.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking
So
of,
we can get clear
Yeah,
guidance on what's allowed where.
yeah.
did you have something to share at this meeting on what we saw in the annual water quality report about the conservation easements?
I did not, I didn't track down any info on that.
Maybe next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if
Thanks.
you put that on the agenda for them, for the,
So thanks to the mayor for approving our involvement in updating some of these maps
Yes.
sounds good.
and using the free time for them.
Yep. All right, cool. Thank you, Rich, appreciate it. And Mike, thanks for your time in advance for your tractor and knocking those piles down.
Sure.
Yeah,
Filling
we'll
in the
need to
well
get
if
some
you can.
grass seed and so on, but maybe DPW can do that part, or,
Oh,
you know,
wildflower seed?
could be.
Doesn't matter to me.
I think we can determine what to do there, but,
Yeah.
you know, the idea is to make it so it's easily mowable. So if you gotta go out and weed whack, you're just weed whacking around a couple
Right.
posts
Yeah.
for the signs and the
Right.
kiosk.
Yeah. Cool. All right, thanks, everybody. All right, moving on. Request a certificate of compliance, 1771 Lock Drive. I gotta tell you, I went out there a week or so ago.
Chuck,
Yes.
can I ask a question on the commissioner comments?
Yeah, please.
Before we move on?
Sure.
Jesse, there was that beaver, the pond
Yeah.
leveler supposed to be installed
Mm-hmm.
between last meeting and today, did that
Yes.
happen?
Yeah, that did happen. I'm still waiting so John, who installed it, is gonna share like some pictures and I guess like a general report, he called it, with us. But it went in, and, you know, ideally it will work. John said that the thing with the pond levelers, if it doesn't work and the beavers end up realizing that there's a slight, you know, difference in water level from one end to the next, then you know, if the neighbors wanted to, then they could trap there, take that colony out, you know, assuming that it doesn't work.
Mhm.
Then a new colony would come in, the leveler would still be functioning, and then they wouldn't be aware that the water level was lower than it used to be over
It
there.
would work for a new one.
Exactly,
If it doesn't
so,
work for
so if
these.
it doesn't work for this one, then you can always trap one more time, and then that should lead to a situation where the beavers then are gonna exist there without screwing with the water level.
So
Hopefully it just works this time,
Right, right.
but obviously the people that live on Wildflower, like, lower the water level as much as you can, and that's just not, and that's not how it works, you know, you kind of have to try to get somewhere in the middle ground. So I basically just deferred to John, I said, you know, they're worried about their lawns, they live on a huge swamp, so do what you can, don't lower it too much to the point where the beavers.
And the
are gonna-
swamp was here first.
Swamp was there first, the beavers were there first. We all, you know, have our take. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah.
If nothing else, it was very nice of you guys and the city to spend, you know, over $2,000 on a peaceful solution that hopefully allows wildlife to continue existing there and prevents people's property from being damaged. So, you know, they can't say that we're not trying.
Right.
And can I,
On that subject.
on that,
Oh, you
right,
know,
on that, yeah, on that subject, I want to ask a short follow-up question. How do we do with our budget for the fiscal year?
I think we did well. I mean, we had, at the end of everything, I think we had about 1,500 or $2,000 left.
Okay. So we spent most
Of 13,000 to begin with, yeah.
Well done.
Spent under 900 on the signs that we
Yeah.
bought.
Yeah, the signs weren't much.
We didn't have to
Couldn't
pay for
spend
the new
money.
pair of
Yeah,
shirts.
no, so it seems like our budget is commensurate, more or less with our.
We found places to spend it between like training and even like the bill for like the printer that we use in my office. I paid for that for the year. That was $1,000
Yeah.
for the maintenance plan that we're on. Like
Right, exactly.
we
Perfect.
found places to spend most of it, so that's good.
I think it makes sense, or is appropriate to commend Commissioner Quinlan for her advocacy for that pond leveler for those residents,
Absolutely.
since she's not here to.
Did you have something else you want to say about the pond level?
Okay.
No, that was it.
That was it, okay. Oh, that was it, okay, all right. All right, good, all right, excellent. Oh, one other thing, we don't go into detail now, but if you could you follow up when you get a chance with the folks from CVS on
Yeah.
Central Street?
Yeah, sure.
Because they were gonna do that work in during time of low water this summer.
Yes, you're
which
right,
should-
yeah. I have
July
had
or August,
regular
so.
contact from Nick Kondek, who was with High Point Engineering
Yeah.
Firm. We were out there with him.
Yeah,
But, yeah, he's been keeping me in the loop, basically just saying, exactly that, we're still waiting for low flow, we'll let you know,
Okay.
and have that pre-construction
Okay.
meeting before they get going. But I'll
Alright.
touch base with them. 'cause it's
Yeah,
been a few
I
weeks.
appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah. Do you want me to show I can't remember where we wound up on Lock Drive there. Are we waiting?
I was about to jump into
okay,
that, yeah.
okay.
So, yeah, so, as I was about to say, so Jesse and I met with Matt Morrow out there, we met with the secretary, receptionist, or, no, director of operations, I think her name is.
Yeah, yes.
For the landscaping company that occupies that building. And for the most part, they've done an okay job. I can tell you, though, I'm not ready to issue a certificate of compliance, though. They had a couple of barrels out behind there, that, not barrels, but buckets, that, it would, I forget what it said on it, some kind of
It said-
petroleum product.
Salt, I think, or
No,
something.
they said it was
Say
salt
it was
in
salt?
it, but the bucket itself said some kind of petroleum product, I forget what it was.
It's supposed to be in the trailer.
It's supposed to be covered somehow, yeah.
Yeah.
So apparently they have moved that. There is
Yeah,
one,
that is.
and the area where they were gonna plant has been planted, they got trees, they got grass, there's nothing going out there. One of the trees has died, and they'll replace that. Out of 15 trees or so, only one died, so they did pretty well.
Yeah.
Jesse has some other issues, I guess the Board of Health and people are out there almost all the time for various issues. I can tell you, my sticking in my craw issue is basically the line demarcating where the driveway is and where we want the grass and the plants and the new trees are. They've still got those concrete pipes, which are easily moved. And I've said all along, I'd like to see them put in something permanent there, so that they can't just move it and bring vehicles out there, and it's still just concrete pipes. So that's still, I'm not ready to issue a certificate of compliance until some of these other issues are
Okay.
addressed.
If you're not happy, we're not.
Yeah, no, I'm not at all.
Solidarity.
So if you could just, I don't, Matt Morrow, because the woman was, oh yeah, we'll do all this stuff, we'll take care of that. And
Yeah.
Matt Morrow's
They
basically
did
said.
move the oil. at
They
least.
did move-
That's the
they
bare
did-
minimum, if you
The
can't
one-
do that.
The thing that they said was salt, but the barrel said oil, that's been moved, Jesse's got visual, photographic proof of that. But Matt Morrow, when she said, oh, we'll take care of all this, absolutely, Matt Morrow said, I've been hearing that for 5 years now, and yet here we still are. So I know Matt is not particularly pleased.
So what
with
do you want to see, like Jersey barriers or something along, I mean, I guess we could look.
Oh,
at
even
it.
Jersey barriers moved, I'd like to see, honestly, it doesn't need to be complicated.
You want a fence or bollards?
Yeah, basically,
Yeah, big fence.
Yeah, that's what we
basically
talked
like
about.
a wooden version of a guardrail.
Yeah,
Post something to the ground with a beam across it.
okay,
It's not that difficult.
no.
Could it be a chain?
Yeah,
Does that
suppose.
need to be a ring?
Yeah. That's some kind of heavy duty chain.
And how are they gonna plow it, though? I mean, we have to consider that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
But-
commercial property.
So what are you saying, the plow would knock it over? What are you saying?
Yes, plow's just gonna take it out if they get, it's kind of dangerous, somebody's charging through there and they're gonna hit the chain.
Do you have-
I mean, it should be high,
And-
it should be
and-
high enough. The Jersey barriers would work, I think.
So your issue is the height.
Yeah.
Okay.
The issue is height, so you can see it over the plow frame.
So what,
Well,
like
they
3
could,
feet?
they could have poles sticking up, reflective.
They could
poles.
have poles sticking up high.
That's a
Yeah,
good
like
point.
3 feet?
No, it's probably gonna be more like 5, but sitting in one of those
Yeah,
trucks, you
probably
can't,
more like 5 or 6.
just can't see. And, well, it's not gonna be something intentional, it's just gonna be somebody's gonna be
No,
flying
understood,
through
yeah,
there. They're just
all
gonna
right.
take them out, and we're gonna be fighting this battle
Yeah.
again.
Okay.
Now, also, Matt said that Mr. Xeris doesn't own the place anymore, somebody else owns it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does not.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how amenable this new owner's gonna be to hearing from us quite often. I know he's hearing from it from Board of Health and a few other
Mhm.
What's the Board of Health's issue there?
dumpsters and
Yeah, I
other
think
things.
just general trash disposal. It's not really taken care of, like, I mean, even you can see here, it's an
Yeah, it is.
overflowing dumpster.
And that's
And
low
there's
compared
just-
to when we were out.
This is the best I've ever seen it. There's just loose debris blowing around
But it's
constantly.
debris, it's not garbage.
Well, there's still,
It's not
there,
food garbage.
Well,
No.
No, but it could be
I'll leave
chemicals,
Board of
could
Health,
be-
leave Board of Health issues, the Board of Health, they can do what they
No,
want.
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it
no,
could
but
be-
they still have, like,
I mean,
they
got-
have
landscaping
jurisdiction
company, it
over
could be
just solid
pesticides,
waste
herbicides, could be
disposal.
anything.
Could be.
Yeah,
That's-
and
that's-
there's another one, there's at least one more dumpster that looks just like that, if not uglier. Yeah, you can see the one dead tree out there, the one dead arborvitae out there, they'll replace that theoretically. So, I'm hoping you can pass on my main issue that, with the barrier there.
Yeah, you wanna see a
To
more
Matt,
permanent area there.
and see what the owner is willing to do.
Yeah.
If he has another idea,
Yeah,
that's fine.
Oh,
I'd like to see something permanent there,
yeah.
other than concrete pipes that can easily be rolled out of the way. That said, I haven't seen any evidence of vehicles out past that boundary,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think 6-foot-long sections of concrete pipe is what we had in mind.
Mm-hmm.
It
Those
really-
trees really took off though, huh?
Yeah, dude, most of them
Yeah,
are doing well, yeah. Yeah, like I said,
Where-
only losing one, they did pretty well.
There's a different owner and a different tenant from when we
Seems like
started.
everything changes.
From when we
hands
started,
there
yes,
all the
yeah.
time.
That's how long it's been.
Yeah,
Yeah, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
Thank you.
cool.
Okay.
All right, moving on to the next meeting. So our next meeting will be July 22nd, 2025. The final deadline was last week, so this is July 4th, 2025. It's electronic anyway, so
Yeah.
deadline was last week, July 4th at noon. Despite what it says here on the agenda, the next meeting will be August 12th, I believe.
Let's see.
Excuse me.
August 12th, spot on.
Okay, and so which makes the final deadline, would the final deadline be July 25th?
It would be 3 weeks back, so yes, it would
Okay.
be, yes.
Okay, so the next meeting will be August 12th, 2025. The final deadline will be July 25th at noon, July 5th, 2025 at noon. So with that, unless there's anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Take it, is there a second?
I can second that.
Very nice. How do you vote on that, Bob?
Aye.
You, Nick? Mike?
Aye.
Rich?
Aye.
And Chuck.
And aye.
All right, thank you, everyone.
And what's our
Thank you,
time?
That is
6:51.
6:51 adjournment.